Hey, from NerdtopiaCast.com, it's Doolin Dalton here.
And the Chuck.
And we are broadcasting live from the Twins, the beautiful castle estate of Lord Walder Frey.
That's right. You know, when we sat down to do a podcast about Season 3 of Game of Thrones, we had no idea that we'd be invited to record by Lord Frey right here in Westeros.
And on a momentous occasion, Chuck, today is the day of his daughter's wedding to Edmure Tully.
What a lucky bastard he is. I mean, look at her, particularly compared to the rest of them.
I know, right? Where'd you come from, man?
I have no clue.
I'd plow it, not gonna lie.
I bet you would.
So we're recording live from the marital reception at the Twins, and it's been a pretty lovely ceremony, I think. But we're not here to cover the marriage. We're not here to cover the ceremony. We actually, it's good that we're here. But we actually just wanted to talk a little bit about Season 3 in review of Game of Thrones. Yeah, where's the best place to start for that? I guess the character arcs, I guess, would be the best place to start.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start.
So let's see. We left off at the end of Season 2. Jon Snow going to meet the king of not the king of the North, not to be confused with Robb Stark, but the king of the Wildlings,
right,
who is in the North. And I gotta be honest about something, man. I was a little disappointed that we didn't find out what happened to Benjen Stark this season, too.
Yeah, that's something they seem to have just decided, fuck it, it doesn't matter.
Or maybe it... oh, you know what, alright, hold on, well, let's back the train up real quick. First of all, before we jump into this, if you've not watched the season, you haven't read the books, you don't know what's going to happen, spoilers do lie ahead. I'll make sure that there's a description, there's a link in the description that says spoilers. But we're going to be spoiling the fuck out of this. So don't listen ahead if you don't want to know what happens. So anyways, spoilers lie ahead, guys. So barring that, let's go back and we'll talk a little bit about Jon Snow's character arc this season. Because I gotta admit, man, Jon Snow is one of my favorite characters. He's one of the few heroes on the show. And as we know, heroes don't last very long in Westeros, man. So anyways, I was disappointed we didn't find out what happened to Benjen Stark. Jon Snow goes to join the Wildlings, and he's sent there originally to infiltrate and I guess do recon, and ends up falling in love with a girl that he barely knows.
Well, it happens to the best of us on our first time.
Oh gosh, man. My thing was like, how long have you known this chick, man? You're banging her in a cave already? But then again, you also got to consider, he's like, what, 18, 19 years old?
And a virgin.
And he's taken a vow to never bang, ever.
Yeah, I'd be tearing that shit up. Especially in the absence of the internet.
Right. So the Wildlings are kind of an interesting bunch, man, in that they have successfully unified all of the warring tribes. And did you recognize, I don't know, was anybody else a fan? If anybody else is a fan of Rome, you ever saw that show? The King of the Wildlings was played by the same actor that played Julius Caesar, which was kind of interesting.
He was, and Edmure Tully is played by the same guy who played Brutus.
Oh, that's right. I didn't pick up on that. That's fun. He has successfully unified all of the warring tribes here up there north of the Wall, which was interesting, which includes giants, apparently.
Yeah, I did not see the giant thing coming, just because the first two seasons they've been pretty well grounded in practical fantasy, for lack of a better term, with the exception of dragons. And
I'm actually kind of happy to see that a little bit, because I remember watching through the first season. I mean, because I'm a huge fantasy nerd. That's kind of like why I started watching Game of Thrones in the first place. And don't get me wrong, I liked it from the beginning, but I always said it needs a little bit more fantasy to it. Like, the only races are humans. Throughout the first season, you never see magic. They don't even make reference to magic. There's mention of gods, but you don't see divine magic. You don't see any other races other than humans. So for a while, they make mention to the dragons. You know that they lived once. But in the Season 2 and then Season 3 especially, you're starting to see more of those fantasy elements kind of come into the show with, now that we're seeing the dragons. And you have elements of other races like giants. We have the Red Woman who...
Queefs darkness.
Yes. Yeah, what was that all about anyways? Like, are they going to tell us?
As far as I know, it's just her doing dark magic to kill off Renly, which was last season, of course.
But of course, it's magic that requires her banging you. Apparently, I think most of the magic she does requires her to bang somebody.
Which, hey, if you're gonna get behind a crazy cult, get behind a crazy cult that wants to fuck.
Oh,
I could deal with that.
So anyways, Jon Snow infiltrates these people, and then we're introduced to another fantasy element, which is wargs. Now, this is the first time we've seen wargs this season, although, we find out that Bran is one as well, so I guess you're just kind of born one. It's kind of like a sorcerer-type power. You don't learn it, you're just kind of born into it.
Like Judaism.
Exactly. You can't convert, or if you can, they'll put you through hell to get there.
Yeah.
So this guy controls eagles, I guess.
Actually, he can any warg can jump into the head of any animal, supposedly.
Okay.
They like the eagles for spy.
Right. Okay. So very cool. So so he uses that as kind of like a reconnaissance thing, and Jon Snow joins up with them, and then he's doing, I guess, like a reverse recon to head down south of the wall to, I guess, report back to the Night's Watch, let them know what's going on. But then there's a complication because he falls in love along the way with Ingrid, who is a crazy fucking fiery redhead dude.
Yeah, she's definitely hot,
But at what cost?
At the cost of 3 arrows in your back. This is why you don't let the gingers have access to weaponry when you're dating them.
Oh, God,
they're hot,
man.
but they're crazy.
They are fucking crazy, and they will fuck you up beyond repair. But I would remember watching the finale last night, where we're watching Jon Snow get shot multiple times with arrows, and George R.R. Martin is brilliant in doing this because I was concerned for his life. I was like, shit, that's the end of Snow right there, because I've not read the books, and Chuck has not either. So, and I much prefer it that way because you don't know what's coming. You don't know which of your favorite characters are going to die every season, and you get to be shocked when that happens. And sometimes it can be a bit of a bitter shock, but man, that's good television. That's good storytelling. If you are surprised, if you're hurt, if you make the journey with these characters, which we have been, and then their journey suddenly comes to an end, it's heart-wrenching sometimes, man.
Yeah, I'll admit, I'm not a huge Jon Snow fan, just solely because it's not him, it's the actor. He always has the slack-jawed look of confusion through so many times.
Well, he's young and he's naive, and but the reason I like him is because he's one of, like I said earlier, he's one of the heroes in the show, and heroes are hard to come by, man, because heroes don't last long in Westeros. They get fucked up, which really makes me wonder how far his arc is going to go. I think we're going to find out that he is meant for something bigger, but George R.R. Martin, being the douchebag that he is, I always had like the I'm sure a lot of people have heard of it, the Targaryen Stark theory, where he's the son of the Mad King and Eddard Stark's sister.
Oh, right.
And I've heard that theory thrown around a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to think that the way George Martin likes to fuck with his readers, that we're never gonna fucking find out. Like he's just never gonna tell us.
Yeah, I would not be surprised about that at all. And I mean, the man loves to kill him off. So even if he was, it doesn't mean he's safe, even remotely.
So the season ended with him heading back south of the wall and then running away from the wildlings because his true allegiances were shown. But I think he wanted to take Ingrid with him if she would go, but their loyalties, because we have kind of like very much the classic Romeo-Juliet story going with these two.
Right.
And I'm curious to see, because I don't think we've seen the last of their story together. I'm going to be curious to see where it goes.
Yeah, I would have to think that their paths are at least going to cross one more time.
Yeah, so let's talk speculation a little bit about the future of Jon Snow and Ingrid. So he's in the south. So he made it back to the end of the wall, and then his buddy Sam. Yeah, his buddy Sam is also back at the wall after running into Bran. Yeah, and we're not going to talk too much about Bran Stark and his arc this season, because it was interesting enough. I'm glad they kind of went back and kind of touched on him from time to time, like this is what he's up to. Bran is a warg as well, and we kind of saw the extent of his true power this season, because not only is he able to take control of animals, but he was able to take control of Hodor.
That's really not impressive.
But it's a person.
It's a person with simpler thought processes than a wolf.
Yeah, but it was his first time. Like, come on, that's something.
Oh, it's impressive he popped his warg cherry on Hodor.
That sounds vaguely dirty. But I think that's pretty much like the extent of Bran's arc this season.
Yeah, Bran pretty much.
A lot of it was just fluff with him.
It was like Lord of the Rings. Bran traveled. And
Yeah.
that was the plot.
Well, Bran didn't travel. Bran rode on Hodor's back a lot.
Or got towed in the Bran movie.
God, it's gotta fucking suck to be on a long damn trip with Hodor and he's your only person. Like, can you imagine going on a fucking road trip with Hodor?
No. God, no.
Hodor, what do you want, Hodor? Hodor, do you need to stop at this rest area? Hodor, I don't know what you're saying. Use words, Hodor. You want to Burger King? You're motioning to the sign? You want to go to Burger King? Hodor, god damn it. You're pissing on yourself, Hodor. Should have told me you needed to go, Hodor. Now that I've run that joke into the ground. So we'll talk a little bit about some of the other Stark children, because we touched on Bran, we touched on Snow. Arya has had kind of an interesting arc over the past couple of seasons.
Yeah, she's definitely one of my favorite characters, just because it's hard not to root for Arya.
Yeah, well, she's the underdog. She really is, but she is. I've actually had some female fans of the show tell me that she is their favorite character, just because she's not a little girl. She's a little girl, but she's not helpless. She's not that damsel in distress archetype. She's very much coming into her own as a hero. Like, she might not be able to pick up a sword and swing it against warriors, but she fucked that dude up during the finale last night.
I definitely like her being teamed up with the Hound.
It's an interesting dynamic, isn't it?
Yeah, no matter how much against her will it really is.
Right.
Like, and it's kind of funny to listen to her just like out of the blue threaten him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, by the way, when I'm gonna fucking stab you in the eye, and he just gives her the look like, aren't you intense?
Or just almost to the point where, like, I'm proud of you for saying that.
Yeah. I hope that we get to see more Hound and Arya focus.
I think we will, and I think we're going to find out a little bit more about the Hound, because you and I have kind of discussed in length a bit about his character, just because he's so fascinating, because he was played off, especially during the first season, as such a nasty villain.
Yeah, and then as it turns out, no, he does bad things, so worse things don't happen.
Yeah, he's the lesser of the evils, and he does almost kind of like, I'm trying to think of a character that would run parallel. I don't want to say, almost kind of like the Punisher, I guess, in that, yes, I commit evil acts, but I'm committing evil acts to stop the greater evil, because I know how the world works, and heroes die, which they absolutely do. He recognized that. He saw, he was there when Eddard Stark was decapitated, and he's seen firsthand what has happened to anybody who tries to step up and take on the corrupt. So, and I believe you said that he turned down the opportunity to be knighted.
Yes.
Yeah, no code of conduct there, and he doesn't want to have to live by that.
Yeah, I really enjoy him as a character, because he brings a level of the common man that someone like, say, Jaime Lannister does not bring.
Right. He's almost kind of that guy that fights for the blue collar sort of.
Right, but yet if you saw him and Jaime Lannister fight, you would have a hard time deciding who. Well, maybe not so much now, but in their primes, you might wonder who would win that fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jaime Lannister is another character who's taken an interesting turn, because he has gone from absolute villain from the first couple of seasons and had a really interesting turn these past few seasons. We've had Jaime go from being completely narcissistic and self-centered and just very much in it for himself, and then we've seen him go from that to with Brienne, traveling with her, who was basically his slaver, so to speak. So she's taken him back down to King's Landing, and of course problems arise, as they do, and both of them were captured by Lord Bolton's men. So this is where Jaime Lannister loses his hand, just because he's a douchebag. He did not know when to keep his damn mouth shut.
Right. On the other hand, he did at least some of that in an effort to keep Brienne from being raped.
He did. That's true. He was for the first time, we're actually seeing what Jaime's made of, and he's not this coward that we thought that he was.
Right.
Dude actually has a little bit of heart to him.
Yeah.
And he's gone out of his way to protect this woman that he would have absolutely no reason to want to protect. Like it does not benefit him at all. So he sees something in her. Probably I think it was her nobility, honestly. Her nobility, her call to honor, and I think there was a piece of that woke up something in Jaime Lannister to make him want to turn it around and say, this woman does not need to be raped and killed for me. So not only that, but he gets set free, and she gets left behind where she's going to die for people's entertainment, and he jumps into the gladiator arena and helps her fight off a bear. So Jaime Lannister has done a complete 360. So one of two things is going to happen now that he's back at King's Landing. He's either going to resume his old ways, which I think is kind of probable.
At least to some extent.
To some extent. I think it's kind of probable. We're going to see that a little bit. I don't know how far back into that he's going to go. Or he's going to realize the corruption and then try to play the Lannister game. Or maybe he'll team up with Tyrion.
Which that would be pretty fucking good.
That would be good. I would like to see the two of those working together.
I'd like to see Tyrion hop on Brienne's back and have him do a version of Master Blaster, but for Westeros.
Dun, 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 dun. I imagine for Master Blaster would be Hodor, wouldn't it?
Well, Hodor would be the best, but he's not there. Brienne is there. She ain't going anywhere.
What would level 1 of that be like? You run around jumping and then throwing out quips or something like that. That's how you attack. You attack with quips. The two of them just quipping back and forth. Jaime's a likable douchebag.
Yeah, and definitely when you get that scene in the bath where he has his emotional breakdown and explains.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot about that. I'm glad you called me out on that.
You know how he basically saved the entire town of King's Landing.
Yeah, saved everybody from being burned alive.
And yet is demonized for it even to that day.
Right, and he said, you know, why clear my name at this point? Everybody thinks that I'm a piece of shit, so I just roll with it.
And I can't say I blame him. I mean, it's something I think a lot of people can identify with at that level. But yeah, I think we're going to see a more noble Jaime over the course of the next season. I hope we do. Sadly, that probably means he'll be killed off. Please, any book readers, don't spoil that in the comments.
Yeah, no spoilers for it, guys. But it'll also be interesting to see. It's funny. It's always been the dynamic between Tyrion and Jaime in that, Tyrion realizes that Jaime is the favored son, and Jaime has an interesting relationship with his older brother because of that. Almost kind of like, I feel sorry for you kind of thing. But Tyrion doesn't want pity, so that's where they would kind of have their problems. So I'm hoping to see a little bit more of that this season. To see more of that.
The thing that I think could be interesting for season 4 when they finally get around to showing it to us in 2014. Oh God, the weight's gonna kill me.
We'll have other things for them.
Oh yeah, but how is Cersei gonna get along with Brienne? Because I don't think we've seen the end of the Jaime and Brienne dynamic.
I don't think that. Well, I don't know. Maybe I don't think Cersei's gonna even give Brienne a second glance or thought. Honestly, she's not even on Cersei's radar
until she starts getting nailed by Jaime.
You think that's going to happen? Honestly,
I think it's a possibility. That opposites attract thing. Plus, she took care of him when he had one hand.
I see the situation happening where it's very much like one of those teen movies or whatever, where she comes down into the ballroom or whatever, but she is actually dressed like a woman this time, and the music starts playing and. The fireworks and stuff, and Jaime Lannister's like, oh shit, she's a chick.
Yeah, I could easily see something like that. Maybe not that overly done, but So I could see him becoming attracted to her very easily. Of course, it remains to be seen whether or not Cersei is going to even be in much of season 4 in Jaime's life, because she's about to get married off to Sir Loras.
Right, and that's the other thing that's interesting is these marriages that Tywin has arranged to kind of suit his ends. So you're going to have the marriages we have coming up, and I don't know if they're going to do it this season or if it'll be this coming season or somewhere down the road. But we've got the marriage of Joffrey and Marjorie Tyrell. So we've got the marriage of Sansa Stark and Tyrion has already happened, which is very interesting. I think they're going to become friends as the season progresses.
Do you think he'll go up on her?
I don't think he's going to. No, I really don't. I think that I don't know if we're going to see the marriage of Cersei.
Cersei and Loras?
Yeah.
I don't know how much attention they're going to give to that, really.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, because if it happens, I don't know how much of a central character she's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like her arc is kind of not really important right now, other than just occasionally looking at Tyrion and saying, "I hate you."
Yeah, exactly. Joffrey's becoming so independent to the point that he won't listen to his mother.
And I gotta give Tywin Lannister this. He's a prick and he's an evil fucker, but he can at least rein in the kid when no one else can.
Sent the most powerful man in Westeros to bed
without his supper. Yep. And I applauded at that. That was pretty badass.
Yeah. On a side note, I really feel for the actor who plays Joffrey. He is probably in grave danger of never being typecast as anything but an asshole again.
It's funny. Have you ever listened to any of the commentary tracks on season 1 of Game of Thrones?
No.
The actress that they did one was the two actresses that played Sansa and Arya were doing commentary on an episode, and it was an episode where the actor who plays Joffrey was being particularly nasty to Sansa. And then they would joke about it, and like they would say "cut," and then he would go over and pat her on the back and be like, "You okay? You okay?" Because the kid knows he's being an evil douchebag on film, you know?
Right?
But I thought that was a cute story.
Indeed. I just really, for his career's sake, either I hope he saves his money, or he isn't forever.
Hey, you can make a good living. You can make a good living being typecast as whatever it is you're playing. You know what I mean?
Then why are we not getting paid for being assholes?
Because nobody cares what we have to say.
Well, shit. We're for hire.
Which is why we're doing a podcast. Well, it's going to be kind of interesting to see where the Lannisters take it this season. Now that the rebellion in the North has been efficiently crushed. You know what I mean?
Especially considering we're broadcasting from the wedding.
Yeah, not that we don't know what's going to happen at this wedding that we're doing right now. We have absolutely no clue. But let's just say next something horrible happens to Robb Stark at a wedding. Horrible things happen when you least expect it, Chuck. So let's just say that something horrible happens to Robb Stark and per se, and let's just say that he loses his rebellion in the North before it can even begin.
And hypothetically is beheaded and has a wolf's head.
If that were to happen, I know I'm going really specific with it. But let's just say if that were to happen for some reason unbeknownst to us, that would be interesting, because then that was the main conflict of the story was the rebellion of the North against King's Landing. So then, where does the main conflict come from now?
From the North. They actually, one of the later scenes in Stannis' Keep, even the Red Lady acknowledges the true war is now in the North.
Yeah, but was she not referring to? You're talking about.
She's meaning beyond the wall. She's talking about the White Walker.
The White Walker's coming down.
So that's what she's talking about. So when Madame Crazy Badge even agrees that bad shit is on the way,
right.
I think that's where we're going to see the focus all turn.
Right. All right. Here's what I'm thinking. Total zombie apocalypse. Okay, Walking Dead, if you're listening, give George R. R. Martin a couple nudges in the right direction. Maybe we can bring Daryl into this whole thing.
You know, I do not like that show.
Really?
I really do not enjoy it. I liked the Telltale video game.
Okay, fair enough.
Which is based on the comic.
Okay.
I've tried to get into that show so many times, and I can't.
Not feeling it?
No.
Alright, fair enough. Well, anyways, full-on zombie apocalypse for Westeros, because, I mean, and they've alluded to it from the beginning. They talked about, you know, the White Walkers that come down in the winter, and it hasn't happened for many thousands of years. But, I mean, but everything they pointed to is alluded to, this is what's going to happen. So, which makes kind of an interesting social statement about, like, who we are and what we are. Because, I mean, we as a people in our society have so many major problems that are mounting against us, but through politics and our own personal lives, we fight amongst ourselves, which is interesting because it very much parallels the human condition and who we are as people, because the people of Westeros are doing the same thing. There's a great force that's coming in from on high. Nobody seems to give a shit. Everyone just kind of dismisses it, like, oh, global warming, White Walkers, they don't exist. And this is not a message for the EPA or anything like that. I just think it's interesting that it parallels that, and maybe this is the story that Martin's trying to tell us, because we watch these heroes rise and fall, and we think there's going to be some greater meaning, and we want to stomp out the injustice. But meanwhile, what good is any of that going to be if they all get wiped out in the winter by this nasty undead invading force? Nobody's going to give a shit who's sitting on the Iron Throne anymore.
Exactly.
And even we as the viewers or the readers, we as the fans of the show, we get so engrossed in these characters and this story and this war for the throne, and very little attention is paid to what's going on up there. So I think when Martin finally decides to get around to ending the series, like, so many people are probably just going to be killed off, heroes, villains, all together, and maybe that's how Martin is going to decide to end this series. Just end the world. I'm serious. I mean, I'm serious. Think about that. The end of the world. That would be the ultimate fuck you. Like, none of it mattered because they couldn't get their shit together and unite. It's just like the King of the Wildlings said at the beginning of season 3. I had them all unite because I told them if they didn't, they were going to die.
That would, honestly, I would applaud that. If he did, if he ended it, like, with basically, and then they all fucking died.
Yeah, everybody dies because none of it mattered because they couldn't pull it together and unify as a force. If only they could have stopped fucking quibbling amongst themselves, they could have still saved the planet. There was something to fight for.
Yeah, I would applaud that as the ballsiest writing decision in recent memory.
Yeah.
If he did that.
I mean, it would be disheartening, and it would be terrible, and it would be so fucking sad. But think about the statement you could make with that story, and that's really kind of what people need nowadays, is a wake up call. You know what I mean?
Agreed. I'm interested to see how the war for the North, or of the North, or from beyond the wall, or however you want to fucking describe it, because I don't know how to delineate the coming war with the war that has been going on, that they've called the war in the North and the war for the North.
Right, exactly.
The war for the Northy North?
Well,
Super North?
Yeah, but on that note, there is a mounting threat against King's Landing, and it's Stannis came in last season, got his ass handed to him, kind of went back to his hidey hole to regroup. He never really presented that big of a threat because he was taken out by some fucking Greek fire, and that was the end of that. But the bigger threat to the Iron Throne is the daughter of the Mad King, who is Daenerys. And man, I fucking write a book about her character arc in these past 3 seasons has just been amazing. Like, she has gone from this quiet, naive little girl who used to get the shit kicked out of her by her older brother, who was a total douchebag, to becoming this warrior queen who has these dragons that are getting older and bigger. Like, seemingly with every passing episode, they're getting more badass.
Yeah.
She's acquired an army. How many Unsullied? 80? No, not 80. How many thousands? think it's 8,000, isn't it?
Yeah, 8,000.
8,000 unsullied.
Which are as good as like an 80,000 man army.
Yeah, well, you got to think these are boys that were taken from their mothers and simply just trained their entire lives. I bet you could pretty much put them up there with Spartans.
Right.
They're probably as badass as Spartans. So she's got an army of 8,000. She took the riches from the city of Karth.
Yes.
Which almost cost her dragons and her freedom, but they
Where
managed.
are my dragons? Where are my dragons? 3 fucking episodes. Where are my dragons?
She got them back.
She did, and I was so fucking glad because let's face it, she was getting a little naggy.
Well, I mean, if you had dragons and someone took them from you, you'd be a little upset.
Fair enough.
But she's amassed this freaking army, and then it's like the guy at the representative or the king or whoever the guy was from the gate said, "What are you going to do? You don't have ships." And she said, "I didn't used to have dragons, and I didn't used to have an army. Now I have those. I'll get my ships. You don't need to worry about that." And then so they walk in and they effectively take the city and free thousands and thousands of slaves in this city. And that was the note that they left season 3 on, that they left you wondering, where she jumps out into the crowd stage diving style and gets passed around like a joint while the dragons are soaring overhead. I mean, but she was also, if you notice, like she was also in kind of the Christ pose. It was very much a symbolic thing.
Yeah.
Where it's just like George Martin is almost trying to say, or at least the director of that particular episode of the show was trying to say, here comes the Messiah, ladies and gentlemen. Like, this is it. She's going to come back and take back everything, because she is becoming more and more formidable with every passing season.
Yeah, she is most certainly the sacred grain of salt in the pepper shaker, so to speak. I'm not a fan of her in general. I don't think Emilia Clarke really does the character justice.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the actress so much as I am a fan of the character. Except for the fact that she's there when I close my eyes at night.
She seems too petulant still. She's almost seeming to channel more of her brother this year with the "I'm in charge, gimme, gimme, gimme."
Yeah.
The same way that her brother was in season 1.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that. I'm not sure really what the whole point of releasing all those slaves was.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
A dick.
That was the other thing I saw. Like the doors open, like the gates of the city open, and all these slaves come rushing out. And my thing was, okay, when you took the last city and you freed the Unsullied, you now effectively have an army. Men, women, and children come out, and these are not soldiers. These are house servants. These are field servants. These are, I don't know, whatever role that is.
Yeah, they were handmaidens.
Yeah, handmaidens, stuff like that. And I was like, you don't have an army anymore at this point. You have a lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah, you've either released a bunch of slaves into the desert to starve to death,
yeah,
or you've just taken on an enormous feeding responsibility that you're not going to be able to cover at all.
Yeah. So what is her end game here? I mean, is she just want to go release slaves because she doesn't like slavery?
And yeah, she wants to be the Abraham Lincoln of Westeros. That's cool, but people like their slaves when they have them.
Right.
So, I mean, are we going to get, like, the John Wilkes Booth of Westeros next year?
Oh, sir. That would be Martin's go-to, where she's just like, okay, I'm gonna go out and
gonna go watch a play.
Gonna go watch a play about. Oh shit! She took a crossbow arrow to the back of the head.
And I will say the other thing I didn't like about the last couple episodes was the appearance of her new bodyguard, Bobbio douchebag or whatever his name is.
Oh, Dario?
Yeah.
He gives head on the first date.
I have no idea about that.
He gives multiple heads on the first date.
I think both literally and metaphorically. Not a fan.
Here's what I perceive with Dario. Him being the pretty boy, so to speak. Who it's interesting because he came from this mercenary band, and went completely from just being killer for hire to I pledge my blade to you, my lady.
Yeah.
Like by going by this knight's code of conduct is a really interesting. Why? Like what? Because you want to fuck her? Like I mean that's the thing. He says I fight for beauty. She's beautiful. I don't quite trust that character motivation.
No, I don't either. He strikes me as the equivalent of a gold digger, except one that'll fucking murder for you.
Right, obviously.
Like, he's willing to earn his keep, but it's all about this is the most powerful woman in the land, I'm young and theoretically pretty, so I'll hook up with her because she's got 2 old guys.
Right.
Probably hasn't gotten the big D in a while. I can slip on in.
And then I foresee it's going to be interesting in the future because, I mean, they haven't come right out and said it, but they've made it very obvious that Ser Jorah is very much in love with Daenerys.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, and that motherfucker is so friend-zoned, it's not even funny. So much so that he reminds us of a guy that we hang out with.
Are we going to name check?
No.
Okay.
We're not going to name check. We're not going to name check. But everybody knows that guy. Everybody knows that guy that just does anything and everything that he can possibly do for this girl. And then she'll just send him a text message that says, "You're such a great friend to me."
Yeah.
Ser Jorah, I mean, he's...
I'm never going to be able to look at him the same way now.
Ser Jorah, you're friend-zoned, bro. You're not hitting that, ever. You're never going to hit that, dude. She's never going to let you in. Like, that's just... She's not opening those gates to you, dude.
Ser Jorah, stay away from little blondes.
That being said... So it's going to be kind of an interesting, because he's obviously, like, from the very beginning has sworn his blade to her and has fought to protect her. He stormed the castle, stormed the tower at Qarth with her to help her take back her dragons, and he's literally fought for her and has been willing to die from her from the beginning. Now, how the fuck is he going to take this new pretty boy that's coming in there pledging his blade to her, played in Sandbox, and
I think one of the two of them is going to end up dead.
Yeah. I foresee an interesting triangle coming up here in the upcoming season, and I'm going to go so far as to say my theory. I think Dario's going to hit that.
Oh, Dario is going to.
Dario is going to hit that this coming season, season 4. My prediction right now. Keep in mind, I've not read the books. Dario hits that. Season 4. It's happening.
And Jorah broods about it.
Yeah, and Jorah broods about it and spreads a bunch of malicious rumors.
I think that Jorah and he will go out on a 2-man mission, at which point Jorah will do what he can to make sure that it's only a 1-man mission by the end.
Yeah, something's going to happen between those two, and we'll see. But I'm willing to bet that one of the two of them is not going to be left standing. I think it's going to be Dario ain't going to make it out.
I hope not, because I just don't like it. Granted, that means Martin will keep him alive.
Yeah, exactly, and he'll kill Ser Jorah because we've all been that guy that is just kind of hoping that, you know, maybe this time will be the time that she notices me. You know what I mean? We've all been that guy before at some point in our lives. So as a male, you kind of empathize with it because look at all this bastard's doing for her, man.
Yeah.
And he's never going to turn it around, and we're all kind of hoping for him that he will, but he's not.
No. he sadly he has been friend zoned.
Yeah, I mean it's scientifically, a woman decides if she's going to bang you within the first 5 minutes of meeting you. You know what I mean? She would have done it already, Jorah.
Yeah.
She would have done it already, bro.
Yeah, he had come over with her and her brother.
Right. Well, originally he was sent to spy.
Right.
But then he fell in love with her.
Right.
And I mean, and that's how he was able to stop the assassination attempts.
Which, yeah, you got to feel for the guy, but yeah, he's pretty much fucked.
Yeah.
If there had ever been a chance, Khal Drogo completely ruined that shit. Granted, I don't think that, you know, it's probably like throwing a hot dog down a hallway still.
Oh, no. You might be surprised. You could have had a tiny itty bitty. You never know.
Thankfully, we never did get Khal Drogo full frontal, and I'm happy for that.
So it'll be interesting to see the directions that all of these character arcs go this season. You know, I'm really excited about it. Once again, I refuse to read the books because I want to be surprised. And from everything that I can tell, they stay pretty faithful to the books.
Yeah, one of the big things that they've been known to change is the ages of the characters. Yes, she's blossoming.
Right.
And it's going to be pretty hard to pretend that no one notices this.
Right.
Especially in the land of rape.
Well, that's why I think they're trying to keep her covered, keep the young actress, you know, in those type of clothes.
But yeah, you know, all the kids are aging too quickly, so they've aged them slightly in the story, in the TV show.
So it's going to be, once again, it's going to be interesting to see where these character arcs go over the next season, which is the appeal of staying tuned and finding out what happens, man.
Yeah, I'm both frightened and intrigued to find out the next power of the Red Lady's vagina.
Could be all of her powers come from her vagina.
That's still, you know, that scene from season 2 where
still sits with you.
Haunts me. Between that and the leech on the penis.
We don't even need to go into that.
I mean, Jesus, that why? Why? Really? Like, why?
But anyways, guys, if you enjoy this, this is kind of a one-off podcast that myself and my friend Chuck have done. We're gonna be starting a new podcast here coming up pretty soon. It's gonna be Incast 2.0. We've got a great formula. If you want to hear more from us, just go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube feed, or check us out on our Facebook page, facebook.com/nerdtopiacast, where you can get all of the updates, all of the links to our articles, all of our podcasts. We actually have another podcast. We have a sister podcast by a couple of guys, Greg McIver and Nikki Boom Boom. They do a movie podcast, and we're gonna actually do a little crossover podcast with them coming up here in about a week, where we're going to sit down and we're going to review Man of Steel. So it's going to be a little roundtable discussion with the four of us. And if you enjoy that, check out their podcast, man. It's all on our YouTube feed. They have an iTunes feed for their podcast. All of it's at nerdtopiacast.com.
They swear a lot less than we do.
Yeah, they try to keep it. I gave it to them. They kind of keep it clean. We not so much.
Yeah, we say fuck way too much for our own good.
Interesting. What's going on here?
That really.
They're locking the doors and shit.
Why are they playing a Lannister tune?
I know that's. I think that's Reigns of Castamere. Okay, for those of you who don't know, that's kind of the anthem for the Lannisters, which is a really odd song to be played at a reception. So Reigns of Castamere, man, I think that's a song about the Lannisters crushing the rebellion against the House Reign, man. But anyways, it looks like the father of the bride is making a speech now. He's got Rob up there, and
I feel I've been remiss in my duties. I've given you meat, wine, and music, but I haven't shown you the hospitality you deserve. My king has married, and I owe my new queen a wedding gift.
spit here. Oh shit!
Whoa!
Oh
shit! It's that
boy.
kind of party.
Oh goddamn! Under the table.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're under the table here, recording. Shit's going down here, guys.
Who saw this shit coming?
I did not see this shit coming. Did you see this shit coming?
I did not see this shit
That's
coming at all.
pretty fucked up what they did, dude.
Yeah. Wow. Never piss off Walder Frey.
Yeah, apparently not. If you make a promise to him, you better... Oh, shit. Guard's coming this way. Guard's coming this way. Fuck. How the hell are we gonna get out of this one?
Doc, what the hell are you doing here?
Doolin! Chuck!
Get in the DeLorean, boys! We gotta get you guys out of here!
Don't have to tell me twice. Where are we going?
We've gotta go back!
Back where?
To the beheading of Eddard Stark! If my calculations are correct, all of this can be prevented!
How the hell are you gonna get the DeLorean out of here? There are no roads.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.